Trump ponders whether his feud with CNN over Jim Acosta's hard pass press suspension is going to be successful. That happened during a wide-ranging interview with the Daily Caller. And the White House responds to CNN saying this, quote, "The president and White House possess the same broad discretion to regulate access to the White House for journalists and other members of the public that they possess to select which journalists receive interviews." And in a friend of the court brief, Fox News has joined the CNN case. Fox News President Jay Wallace saying Secret Service passes for working White House journalists should never be weaponized. Well, tonight, a high school named after famed surgeon and current Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson in his hometown of Detroit is seeking a name change. One school board member saying Ben Carson High is synonymous with having Trump's name on our school in blackface. Let's discuss that with tonight's Power Panel. Democratic strategist and Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall, the Daily Caller's White House correspondent Sagar Enjeti, and White House radio host at WMAL in Washington, Larry O'Connor. Welcome to all of you.
Hey, Shannon.
Thanks for having me, Shannon.
All right. Now, the Detroit News reports on this. They say board member Lamar Lemons had pushed to rename Carson School, which is named after the Housing and Urban Development Secretary and former Republican presidential candidate who graduated from the district. He said residents don't support the Trump administration. So, Larry, by the way, you should know that's not the only other name. They're also talking about taking the school name off of a noted abolitionist and former slave Frederick Douglass.
Yeah. Because he was a Republican, maybe? I don't know. You know, I got to tell you, this drives me crazy. I'm from Detroit originally. I still have family who lives in the Detroit area. I go back there a lot. The last thing Detroit needs is to focus on this. It's amazing that they don't have other higher priorities at the school district in Detroit to worry about. The fact of the matter is that every child in the Detroit school district should dream of achieving what Ben Carson has achieved. He is a perfect role model for the children of Detroit. And the fact that they're letting today's politics get in the way of the important values and principles that Ben Carson upholds is despicable, and it disgusts me that they've done this. I love Ben Carson, and I love the city of Detroit, and this breaks my heart.
Well, and Leslie, you know, a lot of people know his story. Not everyone does, but I mean, his mother was illiterate and raised him alone with his brother, and they both have gone on to be these extraordinary overachievers. I mean, he has set records and made history in the field of neuroscience and neurosurgery. They voted 6-1 to start this process of removing his name, but they're going to have public hearings. How do you think it ends?
Well, first of all, because the community is not pro-Trump and they do associate Ben Carson with Trump and being a part of this administration, I think the name is going to get changed. I would say he has succeeded well beyond many of us, myself included. But the people, the parents, I feel, especially as taxpayers, have a right to say, look, we're uncomfortable with the name of a school. And like you rightly mentioned, Shannon, he is not the only name that they're looking at removing from the school. And I think it's great that the board is going to
but aren't they wrong?
Input, but I think
Leslie,
the name
can't you say that they're wrong? I mean, I know they have the right, Leslie, but can't you say, no, this is wrong?
Well, no, I don't think it's wrong, Larry. I think that they have a right as a community.
Yes, they have
as
a
to
right,
what school
but they're
they
wrong.
Want their children entering and having the name above the door to reflect.
Well,
that's sad.
I want to bring Sagar in here because
I don't think so.
Listen, Sagar is at the White House every day. He knows how heated the political conversation has become. What do you make of this? I mean, he is somebody that all of us should want our children to aspire to accomplishing anything sort of anywhere near the realm of what he's done. But Sagar, you know how heated the political environment is now.
That's right, Shannon. And one of the things that we see here is that it plays into one of the major conservative fears that Republicans are literally going to be erased from polite society. And that's what one of these efforts is. And it's especially concerning to all of the potential people who would work for the Trump administration. I can't tell you how many that I've spoken with who would have worked for the Trump administration in completely apolitical jobs. We're talking about in the CDC, working towards the benefit of the nation, but they're afraid that just working for the Trump administration makes them completely ineligible to be in polite society, and that's a dangerous time whenever that's taking place in the United States government.
All right, I want to get you all the way on word tonight of an arrest for Michael Avenatti on domestic violence charges. Here is what he is saying tonight as he's released on bail.
I am looking forward to a full investigation, at which point I am confident that I will be fully exonerated.
Larry, innocent until proven guilty, he says it's an absolute fabrication and an attempt to destroy his reputation.
Yeah, it's pretty rich, isn't it? I was under the understanding that women don't lie about these things and women should be believed, and I believe her and all those things. The fact of the matter is the only reason we care about Michael Avenatti is because he was thrust into our living rooms because 90% of the media in this country believed that he had the goods on Donald Trump and therefore he was a hero. I don't think he's a heroic figure. The fact of the matter is there is a woman in this case who allegedly has suffered horrible trauma. Her story needs to be respected, and I think the fact that he is such a clown show and such a circus and is part of our daily conversation is a real shame. And I hope that she gets justice, whatever that is.
Okay, well, obviously there's going to be all kinds of potentially court proceedings and things that will be fact-finding in nature. He will have an opportunity to defend himself and innocent until proven guilty. Reason.com had a piece up tonight that says that Avenatti now finds himself in the position of needing us to avoid reflexively believing the victim is somewhat ironic, of course, given that he likely participated in a scheme to derail the nomination of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh with dubious sexual assault allegations.
That's right.
Leslie.
Well, to Larry's point, and I agree with some of what Larry said, I always say I'm a woman first before I'm a Democrat. Actually, 90% or more of claims by victims, male or female, are accurate. So, you know, you're talking about between 2 and 10% of the claims are fraudulent. He is innocent until proven guilty. Everyone who is accused is innocent until proven guilty. And I tend to believe the victims. But until we find out more as to the relationship of this victim, and he is denying it, just like others have denied it. I think we have to let all of the information and the facts play out, and I think we should do that in every situation.
Mm-hmm. And Sagar, I mean, his name has been bandied about. He's even entertained the speculation that he would run in 2020 for the Democratic nomination to be president. But during the Kavanaugh hearings, when he added on now, and he's been referred for potential criminal charges, he and Julie Swetnick, one of the women he was representing with allegations against Brett Kavanaugh, we'll have to watch that as well. But there were Democrats who wanted to distance themselves from him, saying like, yeah, listen, we don't want him to be the representative of our party. We're not getting on this bandwagon. But Sagar, he's put his name out there as potentially being a political player.
He has. He's even embraced some of the far left proposals, such as Medicare for all. And it's something that he wants to solidify himself as the only choice of the current resistance. And I'm very interested to see how Michael Avenatti's resistance base will handle these allegations against him, especially given the way that he treated Brett Kavanaugh. As for those of us, in the press, or at least in the honest press, we'll be evaluating the claims against him just as we did against those with Brett Kavanaugh and those with scrutiny. And he's going to be happy that we're giving him the scrutiny that he did not want to extend to Mr. Kavanaugh.
Good point.
And there is no reason to abandon due process on any of these cases. We have to be consistent if that's what we want to say.
But he did not afford that to Kavanaugh.
Well,
let's be clear here.
He will get that now.
Yes, he will.
Okay.
And I'm sure he's very pleased about that.
Larry, Sagar, and Leslie, thank you very much, all of you. Great to see you.
Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you.
Thank you.